Well, hello again. So I thought it would be cool to do a little more interesting weather. Listening to the weather, someone sitting down, that's not so bad. But if you remember last year, we actually used this thing at the end of the 8th grade hallway, this earthworks weather thingy in the background, and that was kind of nice. It was a nice little visual. So I'm going to do my weather. Boy, that wall is boring though, isn't it? That wall is just so boring. That is a horrible visual. That is an awful picture. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get that in the background. I'm going to try to move it in the background, and I'm much too low. So we're going to have to lower the camera down. Whoever's holding the camera is going to have to be much lower down. Next, on the iPad, how do I want this framed? I'm going to put this over here, and then I can hold this on the same side. There we go, except I don't want a light in the background. So I'm going to move the tripod over here. You're not sure what I'm doing right now, are you? I'm trying to get everything framed perfectly. This is called the cinematography. Okay, I'm going to hold this. I have to hold this iPad pretty big. Is there a way to advance this thing? Does it, like, say, go to the next day or something? I see there's little buttons on there. Now I'm in trouble, aren't I? Don't touch this. No, don't touch this. That's not a good idea. Because I'm not sure what all the buttons are. And I can't read them because it's up so high. All right. At least I got it fixed. On your iPad, go to Safari, all right? And here you'll notice I've got my wonderful lunch menu ready to go. And I'm going to go back to the weather, and I'm going to bring up the weather. All right. Do I have Wi-Fi down here? I don't even know if I have good Wi-Fi access down here. Okay, here's my dailies. I'm going to go to the weather one. Is that on there? No, the weather's on its own page. Okay, I'm going to go to the weather page. I'm going to use the National Weather Forecast. That's the second link. The reason I'm going to use that one is because we can show tomorrow's weather, today's weather, and the following day's weather. There it is. You could zoom it in. So Thursday and Friday. I'm recording on Wednesday. Can you see it there? Got to frame everything just right. This visual in the background just is not very good. It's so boring. That wall is just so boring. It's just driving me nuts. That's not bad, but can you get close enough to it so you can see it? And is there a way to pause it? I don't know if there's a way to pause it. We'll have to find that out. It's kind of interesting that it's cycling around. Last year they must have just waited until the right thing came through. They must have just read each thing. The problem is that we're doing the weather only one day in advance, so most of the stuff that's coming up here is going to be a day old. Now we could do some of this stuff right on the iPad though. We could have several tabs. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, let's take a look here. Alright, so we got the weather forecast. Yeah, but the radar is going to be way off, isn't it? Because the radar is like what's going on like in the last hour or two, and if we're doing it a day later, it's not going to be very useful. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Let's just do it, but let's get a more interesting background. There's got to be something more interesting. I'm not going to put that in the background because that's just like really boring. Now what is interesting right now is that it's raining outside. That's interesting. So look at this. All right, you can't see it. I'm going to get closer. Ah, but look at this. Now I'm so dark. How am I going to do this in the dark? That's not going to work very well. Let's see. I think what I'm going to do, there's got to be something more interesting. I'm going to go do this in somebody else's room. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find somebody else's room to do it in. At least that would be interesting. Let's see. Whose room is open? There's got to be someone in here where the room is open. I know. I think the computer lab is open. Not my computer lab, but the C lab. And at least that's a little more interesting background. Holy moly, those brick walls. Let's see, is a brick wall, is that excellent? Or is that like medium? Or is that like failing grade? Yeah, those are, if at all possible, you know, that's, obviously that's kind of average. Okay, so here I am. I'm in the media center. Now the media center has got to be more exciting than someplace else because I can point the camera at something. There's some lights. Holy moly, that's more interesting. There we go. Now why am I in the media center? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really make sense for doing the weather report, but at least it's more interesting. Now I can't get the lights in there, and I don't really want the windows in there, so I'm going to have to move the camera over here a little bit. There, that's a little more interesting. And move it up. And so whoever's holding the camera, they're going to want to hold it up a little bit. Ta-da! All right, that's got to be a little more interesting than looking at something extremely boring. Now make sure that you are not getting lots of glare off the ceiling when you're reading your forecast. Just like a person who's at a library, you know, when you go to a library for story time or something, you're going to want to, or when you're reading a book to a class, or when a teacher's reading a book to a class, you're going to want to hold it up to the side like this a little bit. Okay. Let's try it. Remember to smile for 5 seconds. Today's weather. Today's weather will be partly sunny with a high of 75 degrees. Tonight, it will become mostly cloudy with a low of 46. Ooh, that'll be chilly. Then on Friday, it'll be mostly sunny with 62-degree high. Now, that had to be at least a little more interesting visually, the picture more interesting than a brick wall. Because that's not very interesting. Probably also more interesting than just having the slide up on the screen. If we could do a green screen, that would be awesome. But we don't quite have that together yet, do we? Maybe that could be a goal for the year. All right, so we got the weather done. The major point is the picture, try to make the picture interesting. You know, you've got this picture right here to use for people to look at. And you want the picture to be kind of interesting to engage their attention. That's the cinematography. Framing the picture, lighting it, getting it zoomed in just right, deciding if the camera's going to move or not move. Is it going to go up, down? Is it going to go forward or back? Are you going to zoom in? Having a nice visual. Cinematography. Now I have to turn off this camera.